Hey, what's going on, people? You're watching that awesome podcast on TLDTV. We're back again. Today, we're going to be discussing a controversial issue out there in the world. So, Noel Clarke has had a number of allegations raised against him over the past week. These come before, during, and after his BAFTA award, and we're now up to 20 women who have alleged some form of misconduct or sexual abuse. This issue seems to keep happening. Kane, how did you first come to hear about this story, and what were your initial thoughts?
Yo, Instagram, man. Instagram, the modern day, news for me. So I was scrolling through my Instagram and seen it. And I was like, why does this ring a faint bell? And then it took me on to remembering that Adam Deacon stepping forward and trying to say some things. And at first I was like, right, okay, is this just something small? Like maybe a few people don't dislike him, or is there a weight to this? And then more and more came out, and then I was like, oh man. Someone who I thought was doing some good things, seems like there was a lot of bad things that was going on as well. A lot of bad things. So yeah, I was shocked, and then I was sad, and then I was angry. That was how I felt.
Yeah. If we fast track backwards about 2 weeks, so before these allegations came out, what were our prior thoughts of the character of the man who is Noel Clarke?
Mixed.
Yeah?
Mixed. I mean, in my head, when I first knew him from Doctor Who, if I'm going to be honest, it was Mickey. Was he Mickey? Mickey. Billy Piper, wasn't he? But after that, I saw Kidulthood, Adulthood, and some of the stuff he did. And it just felt like he was a bit of a jack of all trades, but a king of nothing, you know? Like, he did really good stuff, but nothing really stood out to me. It's kind of how I saw him. He's like the British guy that can do lots of things kind of well, but not well enough to get the big budget film next time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of how he felt to me.
It's brutal.
Like, always very talented, because he's always a writer, producer, director, everything. But yeah.
Do you know what? This is the difference here. Did anybody see Kidulthood in real time when it first came out? Yeah.
That was monumental.
You know, I think for me, it was like a production superhero type. I'm not gonna take it all the way there and say like a Spike Lee, but it was almost like the potential and the ceiling felt similar at that age. Because there's the other thing. I was shocked to hear that he's 45 now. I didn't know it was those kind of numbers. So me doing the maths. Huh?
Because he looks young.
Yeah, at least younger than 45. Because I always thought
30s at least, right?
Yeah.
The main thing is that it makes us feel old, because you remember watching it when you were younger and you're like, oh my God, he's 45. And that was 15 years ago or something, or 20 years ago, however long ago it was.
Yeah. I mean, so for people who know that trilogy, because I even thought that Sam character seemed like such a great character and villain. Turns out he was just playing himself. It's
Oh yeah.
Oh dear. I mean, I guess particularly as well, as people of color, seeing someone able to bring out a series like that, Kidulthood, Adulthood, and just have longevity in the film industry. I don't think I know enough about him to have an opinion either way, but I remember thinking okay, cool, we're doing things here. Yeah.
And I guess him, and maybe if I was going to try and go backwards in my head, the way that I maybe see Ashley Walters now is the way I saw him a few weeks ago. Even the fact that he was able to secure certain funding, I remember when I first went to see the films, even the fact that it was in was it Brotherhood I first saw in cinema, But you know how it was. Like, I'm sure for you guys, when you first saw Kidulthood, it wasn't in the cinema. It was on like a laptop or, or something somewhere. And yeah, the fact they got there. So I was like looking at the start credits to see how did he manage to pull this off? Okay, it's like lottery funded. So his network was clearly strong. This might be a good point to say the word allegedly 10 times as well.
Oh yeah,
because it's not clear. There's no, how would you phrase it? So concrete evidence in the terms of like video footage or anything like that. But there is supposed eyewitness testimony from 20 separate women. How do we feel about that as a evidence stack? I'm not sure what the number is for how many people in my head make someone officially guilty. But Emma, what do you think of the number 20? What does that say to you?
Well, I'm a massive believer in there's no smoke without fire. I think like nobody wants to hear these things about somebody that they've admired over the years. Like you don't want to believe those things, but I think it's fair to say with the amount of, I was reading through them individually earlier, and okay, just because there's no evidence doesn't mean it didn't happen. And that's what really frustrates me and makes me feel frustrated for these women, because not only are they having to potentially like relive these situations that they're accusing him of, but they're also being told by his lawyers, well, you don't have any evidence and you were being flirtatious and all of these things. So that's the frustrating part for me. I think there's a lot of positive feedback about him as well, as women who've worked with him over the years who've never had a problem. But just because there might be an imbalance of positive versus negative doesn't mean that it takes anything away from the negative accusations. Every experience that an individual has with another individual is equally as important, and especially when it comes to somebody who's quite high profile and is potentially abusing their power. So yeah, as I said, no smoke without fire. And I think I wouldn't want to discredit anyone who's been brave enough to step forward by saying there's no proof, so your experience didn't happen, basically.
Yeah. Do we all generally feel as though in this kind of situation, you believe the victims until proven otherwise? Is that a general feeling?
Nah. You know what? It's really hard to speak on this without coming across like insensitive. But I think it really depends on the situation. And I'm never the victim's lying. I won't go as far as that. But I'd be either neutral or I would be like, oh, I'm on the victim side. That's normally a swing in between there. For me, for it to be neutral, and I'll be like, I'm not sure, so I'm not going to say anything, is if it seems like ambiguous, and there's a few things that point in the direction of, wait a minute, it might not add up, or it's convenient, or things like that. That for me would leave me in a neutral side. Whereas if normally I look at some situations and be like, oh, okay, yeah, I think that this probably happened. This did. That's how I swing personally.
Yeah.
Is that because all you see on the media is ex-stars being hauled in for paedophilia, or is that because you genuinely think that person's done it though? Because I get the feeling from just years of watching the news that we're inclined to believe that these people have done the bad thing, not because they have, but because it feels good to tear someone down who's got power. Someone, I can't help but feel that there's always that element.